Thank you for having me here this morning with you, Church of God of Landisville. It's great to be back and to see so many of you guys. My name's Mike Kreider. Tim mentioned before that my wife Felicia and I work with Disciplemakers. Unfortunately, Felicia isn't here this morning. She's been having some health issues that are undiagnosed as of yet, and so we really invite your guys' prayers for that. We don't know exactly what's going on. But we do know that early mornings and long car rides are both pretty difficult for her right now, and so we just said that she would stay home this morning. So I'd love to share a quick word about Disciplemakers for those of you who have never heard of our ministry and maybe are unfamiliar. And then I would also love to share just kind of an update for those of you who have been kind of tracking with what the Lord has been doing in our work recently. So personally, I work at Shippensburg University and also at Dickinson College in Carlisle. And Disciplemakers' motto, which you can see on the screen, is reaching the campus, reaching the world. So I really don't think it's an understatement at all, or rather, I should say it's not an overstatement to claim that if you reach the college campus today, you can reach the world. And there are a number of reasons that build into that. But instead of giving support for that claim, I'd rather share stories that support that claim of how reaching the college campus for Christ leads to reaching the world for Christ. This summer, we have 6 students from Shippensburg University engaged in full-time ministry. 2 of them just graduated. One, her name is Katie. She graduated this past spring, and she now lives in Myanmar. She caught a vision for spreading the gospel to people who are disadvantaged, to people who don't have much access to the gospel. And after taking a short trip there about a year ago, she said, "This is where the Lord would have me." And so she's there for the next year, helping at a seminary where she's teaching the rudiments of discipleship, as well as walking alongside many orphans that live on the compound where she is. Nate is another student who just graduated, and he came through our ministry at SHIP, and he's now full-time raising financial support so that he can work in college ministry as well. Darius is a guy who is in North Africa right now, where he's teaching English. That's kind of his front door opportunity to get into the country. But because the area he's in is very hostile to the gospel, he's teaching English as kind of a day job and then building relationships where he can share Christ with these students outside of the school hours. And that's what he's doing all summer, along with another girl whose name is Amber. She's in a different part of the same kind of area of the world. I'm not at liberty to share specifically where. But both of them have caught a vision just in the past year and a half for sharing the gospel, such that they're now engaged in this work for the summer, praying and actively discerning, God, where would you have me go beyond my college years? Another student, his name is Cameron. He's on the other side of the country right now in California. He's doing a ministry opportunity with the traveling team. They came to our campus in the fall. We invited them, and they gave just sort of a broad understanding through the scriptures of how from Genesis to Revelation, the heart of our God is to reach all people for the gospel, all people, including the unreached people groups of the world. And so Cameron said, well, I might not have the time and the know-how to get the financial support to go somewhere across the world, but maybe I could go to California and learn what this looks like with people who don't believe what I believe. And so this summer, it's a common thing for him to walk around on a boardwalk and just kind of share Christ with people point blank. And it fits his personality so well. And last is Hunter. Hunter's a freshman at Shippensburg University. I've spoken about him before. He's a student who this past fall slapped down a notebook in front of me as I was having coffee with him, and he said, "Mike, would you teach me how to mature in Christ?" It just blew me away. And Hunter is in North Carolina right now, working with a radio broadcasting company, or organization, I should say. They have access to 4 billion people. 4 billion, I'm not making that up, I'm not exaggerating. 4 billion people in unreached areas of the world that they can hear the gospel and hear the scriptures broadcast on their radio networks. And so Hunter has caught a vision and said, you know what, whatever vision I had for my career is going out the window. I want to serve the Lord in a full-time capacity once I graduate college, and this is after 1 year in college. I share these stories of these students because I don't want to say that I believe if you reach the campus, you can reach the world. I want to put in front of you guys that it is objectively true that the students in college universities in America today are asking, what am I going to do with my life? And some of them are even asking the question, what would God have me do with my life? And then some of them are even stepping out and saying, could this internship, could this experience be what God would have me do with my life? If you can reach the campus for Christ, you can reach the world. All of these stories are students that have come through our ministry or we met within the past 2 years. It's a quick turnaround in college. This is the stuff that's happening constantly in our ministry that we get to be a part of. I'm going to shift gears a little bit and share a more personal update, and then you guys are free to ask more questions after the service. I'll be in the MPR sharing a bit more extensively about our ministry and about this past year. Next summer, my wife Felicia and I accepted a position with Disciplemakers to lead the summer internship that we host for students. So students who want to intern with Disciplemakers, raise financial support one time so that they can live in State College, Pennsylvania for 2 months, and we as their leaders will help coach them as we just seek to blitz the campus all summer long. There's a really great summer program for incoming freshmen at Penn State University where they have several thousand students there over the summer. No clubs, no extracurriculars, just them and their classes. And so we're going to be able to lead these students as we seek to draw more people to know Christ, as we seek to give them opportunities to do full-time ministry and examine if the Lord would have them do this full-time. And to give you just a glimpse of how significant this internship is, the internship was the turning point for me when I realized I wanted to work with Disciplemakers. I got to do the internship about 3 years ago. And through that, I remember we saw 2 students come to faith in Christ. One of them then interned last summer. My wife got to disciple her at Penn State over the past few years. And there are a number of people from my intern class, I think about 6 out of 12, that now work for Disciplemakers full-time. I don't share this because the internship is so great because Disciplemakers gets more missionaries. It's much bigger than that. But it's people coming to faith in Christ, people coming to the realization that this is what God would have them do with their lives. And for my wife, Felicia, she works heavily in an area of Disciplemakers that has to do with our application and interview process that brings new missionaries on to our staff team. And the internship is kind of the primary pipeline that brings our new missionaries. And so by leading this, we're going to get to see a lot of new people join our ranks and be full-time ministers of the gospel, perhaps even shoulder to shoulder with us on our campuses. And so we're thrilled about that opportunity. What that means for us, with the summertime being kind of our primary moment to visit the churches that support our ministry, visit the individuals that support our ministry, and raise additional financial support for our ministry, it means we won't be able to do that next summer because we'll be living in State College all summer long. And so if you guys are interested to learn more, we're raising a bit of additional financial support to stabilize our ministry for the next 2 years. I'll leave it there. If you guys have questions, feel free to approach me and ask more about that. But for now, that's just a brief glimpse at what the Lord is doing in our ministry with Disciplemakers. And if you guys would like to learn more, I'd encourage you to come check it out at the MPR after the service. Thank you.